Hi everyone, it's Heidi M. And this is the first time you're joining me in the virtual room, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so for those of you who might have followed me for a while on social media, you know Trevor Sherwin. He's my bestie and my personal photographer. Trevor, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, I'm just a guy that likes movies and I'm a photographer and I guess you know, just do stuff like movies and you give me invites to go to things and we get to see cool things and I love it.
Awesome. So yes, you're often a plus one when I have a plus one.
And I appreciate that.
Well, it's also because we live in the same city and we don't live that far from each other. So this
Right.
is how it works in the real world. I don't always get a plus one, but sometimes I do benefit from that. So we're gonna chat today about a really fun film for both of us. I think it premiered at TIFF this year called Superboys of Malegaon, and maybe I'll just start by telling folks about the film. It is directed by Reema Kagti, and it's basically chronicling the life of Nasir Shaikh, whose no-budget community-sourced movies turned his hometown of Malegaon into an unlikely dream factory. So that's the short synopsis. You can find it online. You can read more about the film online. But we went into this film blind. I mean, we went into this film not knowing much. Let's just be correct about this,
Yeah,
right?
I'm guessing there was like a big cult following to this film, like just by the sounds of the way everything from the post talk afterwards with the cast and the actual original director who was there, as well as the director of the movie.
Mhm.
So like this sounded like all those cult films that we like to go and see, but we didn't know what it exactly was all about. So yeah.
I think you're right. I think a lot of folks from this film is from India, so I think people who have grown up with those films that were sort of paid homage to in this film would know about it because it's a big, obviously India has a big film culture. And the premise behind Nasir Shak's work is that in his town, they wanted to create their own films. And it was sort of, let's use these original cult films and make them in our own version. And I think that's part of the charm of this film in that, yeah, sometimes, no one wants to come and film you in specific regions because they don't seem as glamorous. But also the creativity that people put into making things that they love without having a lot.
Yeah, like I could totally respect like doing something on an absolute budget.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd equate it to be like, like Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, like kind of get a little bit of film time in this country, but like other really small towns. Like I can just imagine small central Ontario town, all of a sudden some people going, you know what, we're gonna make a movie. And it just had that feel, which was, I thought, so cool. And the crowd was awesome at this. Like every time a new person would come on the screen, there's a big cheer. And I know that that is sort of a thing with a lot of Indian cinema. So it was really cool that that happened as well.
Mhm.
And the fact that, like they were there for that to hear that, I think that was like pretty damn cool.
Yeah, so I was noticing that a lot of the cast, for some of the cast members, I'm just going to read off some names. There's Adarsh, Gourav, Vineet, Kumar Singh, Shashank, Arora, Anush Singh, Duhan, and Saqib Ayub. So those are sort of big players in terms of like the Superboys and their support system in the film. And some of them are well known in India and around that area. And I think for those of us, some we might have seen on Netflix series that are available to us here in Canada, but some actors are new to me too. But we were lucky because we were kind of sitting not far from them and we were just
Oh
like,
yeah, we were the next section over. We were like 15, 20 feet from where they were sitting.
hmm. So I'm gonna say throughout the movie, we see them kind of struggle, go through some drama among themselves when it comes to making these movies. And does the person Nasser, who started this whole production thing, does he get too big for his own ego or his ambitions? And also like some drama because someone in the group is sick as well. And then so there's a lot of ups and downs in the story. What did you think of that sort of emotional kind of arc in the film? Did that work for you? Did you have the feels?
I
I had the feels. That was just me.
there were parts of it I'm like, this might be a little over dramatized, but for the most part, it was actually a really critical part of the film. And when I say over dramatized, I think they did it in an intentional way where it was like the acting of these extreme B movies,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Oh
the
yes.
movies that they made were super low budget. I mean, yes, they were using actors in air quotes,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it felt over dramatized, but it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I want to share something with you that I just came across recently, and somebody was saying, somebody who saw the film, I don't think they were at the premiere, it seems like they might have seen it before, and they said something along the lines of, oh, parts of the story seem repetitive, but there's still some really good parts that will kind of hit you in terms of emotional, like, response, and they consider the film a little too long. What do you think about that?
nah, I'm not sure I 100% agree with that. If if they were to cut some bits out, it would be 10, 12 minutes shorter. So is that for me to say too long? Nah. Like
No.
I so enjoyed everything about this film. Like it was a really, really, really well done film in
I think
so many different areas.
Yeah, so tell me what you liked about the film and I'll tell you what I like.
Well, I mean, I kind of have this love and passion for photography and cinematography. So right off the bat, this movie was like watching eye candy. It was stunning. The colors. I've been to India twice,
Mm-hmm.
and the one thing that I love about that part of the world is not just the colorful dress that people wear, but all the, all the walls are painted with something like an advertisement, or they're not just white walls, and then they'll have these fluorescent lights up at the top, so you'll have this narrow strip of light like kind of casting down, and they did a really good job in the film of lighting everything such that it matched that kind of thing, like a lot of overhead small point light sources, but they obviously used some like really good fill techniques to make it so it wasn't like really crap looking, but
Right.
like everything was like hard backlit, and I loved that. I don't want to even pretend for a second to be like a documentary or professional street photographer, because that's not what I do. But
Right.
when I did travel there, like all the shots, like I kind of went back and looked at them after that movie, and I'm like, oh, they just have that feel the way I shot it. So maybe I vibed with it in a different way than
Sure.
most people would, but I gotta say that lighting and cinematography and the way they shot it, and like there wasn't like overly complex camera movements, like it was intentional framed, well composed shots. And I mean, I have to imagine that some of the cinephiles out there that really are big on things like cinematography, I think you'd watch this and really put it in a category that of some of those films where you just go like, yeah, they got that right. Like, wow, did they get that right?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna shout out the cinematographer Swapnil as Sonawani, who's also done some work on one of India's original Netflix series. So shout out to him. I want to say I think we both always nerd out on the camera work because we just kind of. I'm also like a visual person, so I think the colors. I'm always gonna love anything that's colorful, but also done tastefully or in a way that doesn't really take away from the story. Like it wasn't over the top, or it basically fits what I would expect to see if I was there. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? And you were kind of nudging me when there was a scene with a track shot, and I kind of want to
Yeah.
tell people. I don't think it gives anything away because it's just
No,
like
no.
you're nerding out, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh, this was like, I don't know why my brain picked up on this so well. But there's an initial scene in the movie where the scene is they're trying to record something for the movie, so they're showing kind of the BTS of them doing kind of a dolly shot back from a table with the four characters around it, and then you have the four characters, like they start off tight, and then as they pull back you start revealing the table, the light, and those four characters. that's the movie they're trying to produce.
Yes.
But later on in the film, they do that exact shot for the actors in the movie, and it's done like this same way. And I was just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, did you see that? And it's like, shut up, man, I'm watching the film. But like that was so cool. Just like it's like I don't know, like I'm sure lots of people saw it, but for me, it was just like this really cool Easter egg that you just you either see or you don't. But
Mhm.
yeah, just it jumped out to me, and I just thought that was a really cool way to intentionally include a shot from the original movie, if
Right.
that makes sense. Like they
Yes.
were really trying to like that was a scene very much done with intent for another scene later.
Right. And I agree with that because that also is kind of it in the original, not in the original, in the first scene where because they're learning, right? Like they're not people who went to school for film. They're basically average citizens who are like, we love movies. And that's part of, I think
Mhm.
we didn't say yet, like these Superboys, they loved movies. They even loved Jackie Chan. They love all kinds of different fun movies. And they're teaching themselves, especially Nasser, who's the lead, in terms of like he's directing and all of that. He wanted to really learn that process. And that's what you're talking about in that scene. They're learning how to do that tracking shot while everyone else is trying to act, right? Because they're also, friends and family that are actors in their.
Yeah, that scene was fun because the one guy kept screwing up the line, so they had to show them doing that
Mhm.
scene like 5 or 6 times, kind of all kind of compressed and jumbled together in the way the cut worked. But
Yes,
yeah, and I feel like that was like it was almost priming my brain for that later sequence, which was done so nonchalant
right.
that you almost would miss it if you weren't paying attention.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kudos to the cinematographer and his team, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, the whole production in general, like kudos to the entire production team, the cast also, because we love
Hmm.
being so close to them and seeing their reaction. And just talking about reactions, when we were in the theater, we were lucky to be at the premiere for anybody who's listening to us or watching us. So people were talking back in English and Hindi, their language, because they're really loving what they're seeing in the film. So I think that's part of why you want to go to cinema to experience the cinema together, but also premieres because films like these we may not always see on a big screen. I think from what I'm reading, it's picked up by Amazon.
Hmm.
I think it might be picked up by Amazon
It's
worldwide
most
or
likely because
MGM.
Amazon has a huge catalog of Indian films right now.
Yes. So it looks like Amazon MGM Studios is the distributor for North America, US, and Canada. So who knows? They might get a limited release on the theater, but this is why I think I wanted to talk to the film with you because we're people who don't really know much about that city in India and their like really big film culture now because of Nasser and his friends. And I think I also wanted to ask you if, I kind of noticed the music too, where there were specific themes that were part of it and they would come in and out with the music. Did that also work for you?
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, I mean, we got wrapped up after the movie talking outside
Yeah.
Roy Thompson Hall, just like, this, that, and the other thing. We never really talked about the music, but yeah, when you say that, the music worked smashingly well. Like it was like I know both of us were kind of like jamming in our seats as it was playing. Like it wasn't like cheesy music either. Like it was good. It just the music was incredible. Like it's just all these we keep saying like all these layers add up to like a really good film.
Hmm.
And to your point of like Indian cinema, I think a lot of us who are not exposed to that genre of film at all, I think we have I'm speaking for myself. Like I had a very biased opinion of what it was. I think Bollywood dancing,
Yes.
musicals, and anyone that knows me, musicals, no. So like
Yeah.
I kind of always wrote that stuff off. But now I'm like, yeah, they've really got some good stuff. And I mean, you also saw a lot of really B-level stuff coming out of for production wise and stuff.
Hmm.
But I don't think that's the case anymore. Like I really do think India's got some serious talent there.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably have for a long time. And I'm saying like it's a new thing, like I'm discovering. I sound like a jerk saying it, but not my intent. I'm saying like you
Right.
should really go give this stuff a chance
Mm-hmm.
because it is far better than you'd expect. And I mean, we've been saying that about all sorts of places in the world, whether it be Africa, China, India,
Mm-hmm.
um, like all over the place. I think we mistakenly assume that it's if it's Italian cinema or French cinema or American cinema or whatever, it's good, but everything else is just gonna be crap. And then like that, we got to stop doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and give everything a fair kick at the can because this is a movie that I don't care what type of cinema you like, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's good. It's fun. It has drama, comedy, it has some music in it, so it also
Hmm.
kind of pleases you in that sense. I just want to mention that the film that one of the films they're trying to recreate in the Superboys of Malagon is Ramesh Sippy's 1975 film Chalet. So I think for people who are from India or have followed Indian cinema, that would resonate. Now I want to go source it so I can watch that original film and kind of connect it to why did they want to remake this one, right? It's the same way you used to watch Jackie Chan and then other filmmakers now kind of pay homage to those
Yeah,
guys, right?
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so we'll have to source that one out, Trevor.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to figure that one out. We'll have to watch it at your
Maybe
place because I don't
let's
have a
talk to
single thing that'll
iSource
play a
Cinema.
DVD. So yeah, you got to check out iSource Cinema here in Toronto.
Trevor,
They are such a bunch of cool people running that show.
I know, right? So I think I want to summarize. We loved Superboys of Maligaon. What I found really moving at the premiere was that Nasir Shaikh was there, and I think his family might have been there too. And at the end, when the credits are rolling, like I just looked over, and the guy and then I see the group, and they're all hugging. They were all happy, and then he's bawling because that's his life on screen. In a really huge way, like screen wise and like production wise, and kind of just to see how people of, regardless of whether you know his work or not, responded to it. It must have been like his heart exploded kind of thing with
Hmm.
like good feelings.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then didn't you get a chance to like, or didn't you bump into the some of the cast like the next day or something?
Yeah, so I'm staying home now because I was gallivanting too much during TIFF. But I think that it was the day after. Yes, it was the day after. I was with my fellow film gal pal Donna G, and we bumped into Anush Singh Duhan and Saqib Ayub, two of the younger actors in the group of Superboys, and I don't know, when you just seen something and it's fresh in your mind, I had to stop them and I said, I loved your film. And the response to both of us was so genuinely grateful. And they were just so excited to have been part of it. And they just kept telling, you know, Donna, like, did you see it? Come see it. Like there's this screening still left. And I think they were just really happy to have someone who just randomly stopped them on the street and said, like, what a good film. There were so many things about it that I liked. And then they asked where they could get good coffee. So it's a
Well, that's the right person.
great day for me. So that's one of my highlights of TIFF. And I think it's one of my favorite movies from TIFF, like on a personal note. I think it's one of my top 10.
Yeah, I didn't see a ton of TIFF movies this year just due to
Sorry.
scheduling and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that like there's been a few movies that we've seen over the years at TIFF, and if I'm like because I don't see as many movies as you do at TIFF, but like if I kind of like stretch this out over the last 7 to 10 years, this absolutely fits in a top five for
Hmm.
me. Um, but like that, but and that's like multiple criteria from music to cinematography to story to
Yeah.
just the whole vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, really,
I w-
really good film. And I wonder whether it would have, do you think it would have snuck under the radar at TIFF? Like for most people for what they saw?
I don't know, right? Because TIFF is so funny like that when there are so many days. There's like about 10, 11 days, and they have to have like a gala each night. So it's also like, how do you schedule when the film will screen, right? Would
Hmm.
this be different if it had been on the first weekend? I don't know because it still was very busy. Like where Thompson Hall still had a lot of people there. I think the community, in terms of the South Asian community who knows the actors and the filmmaker, I can feel like they showed up to
Hmm.
represent, and then the rest of us who
Most
were like, yeah,
definitely.
let's check this out because it looks cool. I think I think they still had a good crowd. It looked, from what the two actors told me the next day, their second screening also went well. So they were really happy with the turnout and the reception as well in the second screening. So I think good they still get good audiences because I mean TIFF audiences just kind of like going to movies, period.
Yeah.
I think where some people are missing the mark might be in the reviews, which is the comment I made earlier of how somebody is just, I get it, I'm a film reviewer or myself, and you still have to put a bit of thought into what you're critiquing, quote unquote, about a film. But I think you also have to take into account the cultural aspects of the film. Do you know anything about the country? I don't, but that doesn't mean I didn't get so much out of the movie. And to me, I didn't find it to be repetitive in any way because it made sense. These guys were learning how to make movies.
Yeah, and that's actually a really cool. I'm gonna leave one last point just based on what you said.
Yeah.
I knew nothing of the original. I knew nothing I'm gonna say as close to nothing as I can about Indian cinema, right? And I go into that movie completely blind, and the whole thing made sense.
Sure.
There was, it's not and that to me is like a really powerful form of storytelling where you can not only appeal to the people it impacted when it was made, but also just completely show have it work for anybody that has no visibility to the background at all.
Right.
And sometimes you watch films like that where if you don't know the background, you're just lost.
Right.
And this didn't do that. So I mean the storytelling was on point for that.
Yeah. I think it just ties to the word that everyone uses now, which is accessibility, and can anybody kind of connect to it? I think you can. Definitely people who love movies. This is a movie that is going to be like, oh yeah, of course. Like these people just, again, they love movies. They wanted to also have themselves represented on screen, which is something they talked about, right? Like
Yeah.
nobody came to our town or made movies about us. So let's put ourselves in movies, which I think in other parts of the world people have that luxury, right? They can.
Hmm.
And the other thing I just want to leave people with is, for anybody who's kind of a movie nerd, I would suggest, I would pair this movie with another movie called Cinema Paradiso, which is the Italian film. And again, it's also an homage to movies and cinematography. And that would be sort of my double bill recommendation for anybody who wants to do this. Two double bills. They're long movies, but they're so worth the time. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, big hearts
Yeah. I'm
to.
gonna leave this with one little quote that I
Oh dear.
just that
Oh dear.
popped in my head,
Okay, okay,
and it sort of ties in because I'm a huge fanboy of what I'm about to tell you.
okay.
And I think it actually vibes because they also premiered a movie themselves,
Oh, I know. Okay, go on.
documentary there. There's like for those of you that know the Tragically Hip, there's a song called Blow It High Dough. And the opening lyric is, they shot a movie once in my hometown. Everyone was in it for miles around. And that seems to fit this bill pretty good.
Cheers.
Yeah, I thought that I don't know why that popped in my head, but yeah,
Oh,
it seems fitting
all
for
the
this film.
feelings. So
Yeah.
that also means we're doing a plug for this Tragically Hip No Dress
Docu
Rehearsal
series.
documentary, which is
Yeah.
that now it's available on Prime. And I think it was available last night, so in Canada you can watch it.
Was it last night or tonight? I feel like it's
Maybe
tonight
tonight. I've
at
lost
eight
count.
o'clock, and I have to go out later tonight. I'm gonna have to like binge it all tomorrow,
Yeah,
so
so
it's not
maybe it
gonna be a
is tonight.
productive work day for me.
So whenever you watch or hear this, it's probably available to you.
Yeah.
That is the Tragically Hip one. In terms of the Superboys of Malegaon, It might be available on Prime in Canada, but we just don't know yet. So I'll come back and maybe update the notes as I find out more.
Yeah,
Uh,
keep your all you film nerds and people who just like beautiful, wonderful films. Just figure out a way of just like figuring out who the supplier is and when this is going to show up because you need to see this.
yes.
This is a movie that's hot comes highly recommended from somebody who knows what they're doing, Heidi, and not just some guy that likes movies.
I appreciate your input. Maybe we'll have you come back and do movies with Bestie.
Right?
Thanks, Trevor. That was fun.
Thank you.